All right, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a psychological mystery that, honestly, I know a lot of you watching are intimately familiar with. You know that heavy, sinking feeling you get in your stomach when you realize you actually need a hand? And then, right after that, there's this immediate, overwhelming conviction that asking for help is just a massive burden on everyone else. Well, we're decoding the psychology of extreme self-reliance today, breaking down exactly why letting someone support you feels so incredibly difficult.
I mean, picture this visceral scenario for a second. Have you ever been completely overwhelmed, just drowning in a massive to-do list at like 3 a.m.? Your eyes are burning, your energy is completely drained, and yet when someone texts or walks in and genuinely offers to help you out, you instantly freeze. You force this cheerful smile and say, "Oh no thanks, I've got it." You would literally rather stay up until dawn, exhausting yourself to the bone, and hey, maybe reorganizing your spice rack while you're at it, than ask for a simple favor. So why do we do this to ourselves?
Okay, let's dive right into section 1, the myth of stubbornness, because society has completely misunderstood this behavior. Society, and maybe even your own friends or family, will tell you that you're just being stubborn, right? They'll call you a control freak, or they'll say your ego is simply too big to accept a hand. But psychology reveals a profound and very different truth here. Feeling guilty when you ask for help is not about pride at all. It actually points to a highly observant, deeply empathetic mind. Your nervous system isn't trying to feed your ego, it's simply trying to stay safe, based on the data it collected a long, long time ago.
To uncover exactly where this originated, we turn to Section 2, Roots of Survival Independence. Let's guide ourselves back in time to our childhoods.
Here's exactly how a child's brain gets rewired. It usually starts at step 1. You grow up in an environment where emotional support is inconsistent, or your feelings are just frequently overlooked. So this core belief forms that your needs don't really matter. And that naturally leads to step 2. You simply stop expecting support to arrive. It just becomes a matter of probability. And finally, step 3, handling problems entirely on your own becomes your default survival mechanism. When a child can't rely on consistent support, well, they learn to manage their emotions entirely alone. The crucial concept here is survival independence. I really want to spotlight this term because it is incredibly validating. You didn't become self-reliant because you thought it would be fun, or because you wanted to play the hero. You developed a psychological defense mechanism. You stopped asking for help because relying on others literally felt unsafe. It wasn't a choice, it was a mandatory shield you built to protect yourself from the pain of disappointment.
Moving on to Section 3, the burden of being easy. Let's look at how being forced to mature too fast directly links to the overwhelming guilt you feel today when you even think about asking for help.
If you were the quote-unquote easy child growing up, man, this is going to resonate deeply with you. You learned very early on that being low maintenance was the absolute best way to keep the peace in your house and to stay loved. That early responsibility forces you to suppress your own needs, and it creates this ironclad subconscious belief that if you're being taken care of, you're actively burdening someone else. Because of this early wiring, you naturally minimize your needs today. You might even catch yourself apologizing just for wanting support, constantly feeling like you're taking up way too much space.
I want to pause on this heavy realization for a second. Consider this. Receiving care doesn't feel comforting. It feels completely foreign and incredibly dangerous. Just let that sink in. For someone with survival independence, the brain literally associates being taken care of with causing trouble for the people around you. It isn't a warm blanket, it's an alarm bell. Which brings us to Section 4, the emotional debt trap. Let's shift our focus to the present day and examine the internal mechanics of what actually happens in your mind on those rare occasions when someone does gladly offer you support. Now, what's really fascinating here is the concept of imbalanced reciprocity. Essentially, you've been wired to believe that you must earn absolutely everything you receive. The idea of free love or unconditional support, it feels completely unfamiliar and honestly, almost suspect to your nervous system. When someone gives you a hand, it doesn't compute as generosity. It computes as an immediate, heavy debt that you now owe.
Think about it. For someone with a normal, secure view of help, receiving support is seen as a comforting gift. But for you, you see help as an emotional debt hanging right over your head. It triggers this overwhelming urge to immediately pay the person back, to level the scales as fast as possible. Why? Because owing someone feels like a massive threat to your hard-earned independence. You rush to return the favor so you can feel safe and self-reliant once again.
But here is the true culprit behind all of this extreme self-reliance. Section 5, the hyper-empathy connection. See, children who feel unseen often grow up to be highly observant adults. You become incredibly sensitive to the emotions of everyone around you. You're constantly monitoring the moods in the room just to maintain connection and ensure safety. You're acutely aware of how stressed, tired, or overwhelmed other people are. And because of that hyper-awareness, you have an absolute refusal to add your own weight to their shoulders. You would much rather struggle entirely in silence than risk being the inconvenience that pushes someone else over the edge. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate paradox of extreme self-reliance. To the outside world, you look like a superhero. You're incredibly strong, you're highly capable, you're the mature one that absolutely everybody else leans on. But the internal reality, you're carrying a massive, exhausting burden entirely in silence. The facade is flawless, sure, but the foundation is cracking under the weight of doing everything alone.
We've unpacked a lot of heavily ingrained psychology today. So let's bring it all together in Section 6, Retiring Your Survival Armor. I really want you to remember this. You possess a deeply empathetic mind that was trained to survive by never, ever being a burden. So the next time you find yourself desperately needing a hand but feeling terrified to speak up, I'm asking you to please stop calling yourself stubborn. You are not a control freak. Your ego is not getting in the way. You are operating exactly the way your brain was trained to operate to keep you safe. Extreme self-reliance was a brilliant armor you built for survival when you were young and vulnerable. It kept you safe when things were completely unpredictable. But you really have to ask yourself, do you have to wear it forever? I am here to deliver a powerful permission slip to you today. You are finally allowed to rest. You are allowed to be supported. You've outgrown this defense mechanism, and you don't need to wear this heavy armor into your future. Decoding this psychology isn't about judging your boundaries, it's about understanding them so you can find your true strength. If this explainer resonated with you, if it felt like a mirror into your own life and helped validate that heavy weight you've been carrying for years, please hit subscribe so we can keep exploring the valid mind together. I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. If your greatest childhood strength was learning how to survive entirely on your own, what could you possibly achieve now if you finally found the courage to let somebody help you? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next